The Greater Toronto Area new home sales have hit unprecedented lows this past month of February, making this the worst month on record. So what does this mean for the real estate market now and for the future? That's what we're going to dive into in this video. Now, when we're talking about new home sales, we're talking about new construction and, pre-construction, as some may know it as, and not the residential resale market, which are homes that are already built or condos that are already built and move-in ready. We're talking specifically pre-construction, new development. There's a bunch of different names for it, but we're specifically focusing on that segment of the market. So year over year, from February 2024 to February of 2025, we've seen a 50% decline in sales, with only 400 transactions recorded in the month of February 2025. Now, for context, if you look at the 10-year average, so going back the last 10 years from 2015 to now, that is a 84% drop for the month of February when you look at the 10-year average. The 10-year average is 2,570 sales for the month of February, and now we're at 400. So that's obviously a huge drop. Now, we know that a big part of the reason why we're seeing this gigantic drop in new home sales is because of a lot of economic uncertainty behind the trade wars and a lot of the tariff threats coming from the United States, specifically President Donald Trump. But this is also reflective of the big price gaps that we've had between the resale side and the new construction side or the pre-construction side. There's huge price gaps. Not to mention, interest rates are extremely high, and that's causing a lot of unaffordability issues. But this is not something new, although this news of 84% drop in new home sales is making a lot of news headlines on social media, on the news channels, etc. But we've been seeing this for quite a while over the last 2 years, ever since the Bank of Canada started to hike interest rates back in 2022. New home sales have progressively gotten down in sales, but I feel like we're now approaching the bottom of the market when it comes to both sales and price. Now, here's a deeper breakdown of the sales figures. Of the 400 sales that have happened, 248 have been single home sales and 152 have been condominium sales. So a lot more single family low-rise freehold sales, which is down 38% from February of 2024 and 75% below the 10-year average, versus condos, which are down 62% from February of 2024 and 90% below the 10-year average. So context is important here. The majority of the lack of sales, if you will, have come from the condominium side. And that's, again, largely due to the fact that a lot of investors have completely backed out. When you looked at pre-construction sales over the last 10 years, the majority of people that were buying these condos were investor clients, and majority of people that were buying low-rise happened to be end users, people that needed to buy a home in order to move in. And now, because investors have backtracked from the condominium market, and I've done videos on this on why investors have backed out and why they're so heavily cash flow negative because of interest rates. No investors are buying new construction right now, specifically condos. So it's no wonder that condos are the most impacted by the lack of sales here in the new construction side. Now, as I've talked about in many of my videos in the past, there's this huge gap between price differences of new construction and the resale side, right? I mean, we've seen differences as high as 30 to as high as 40% between a condo that is ready to move in right now versus a pre-construction sold by the developer. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that developers have increased cost when it comes to materials, labor, especially municipal levies and development charges that are imposed by the city of Toronto, Mississauga, depending on where they're building. There's huge levies, and all of that is passed on to the consumer. And of course, builders are also tacking in the future appreciation or the future values that they presume that the condos or these homes are going to be in 3, 4, 5 years, however long it's taken them to build. They're projecting that figure in there as well. So when you combine all of those factors, that's what's making up these prices of new homes and new condos. And you're seeing this big gap between the price of a new property, a brand new property that you're buying from the builder, versus a resale ready to move in property. Now, there have been a couple of municipalities like Vaughan that have brought down their development charges by half just in order to, encourage builders, developers to start building homes so that homes can become more affordable. And also, cities like Peel Region, the 905 areas, are also considering bringing down the municipal levies so that they can also speed up construction and speed up sales. Because again, if nobody's buying properties, condos, and new homes, then builders are not going to build, because the builders can only build once they've sold a certain amount of these homes and these condos, and that's going to impact the future supply. I've also done videos in the past where I've talked about a lot of new home buyers who purchased a new home a few years ago that are coming up for completion now are walking away from deposits as high as $300,000. So even on the assignment side, we're seeing this huge gap between what's selling right now in the market versus what new home purchasers had purchased their properties for just 2, 3 years ago. So naturally, we're having a lot of supply. This article that I'm reading talks about supply being as high as 14 months of inventory. That means if no new homes and condos were to come on the market, it would take 14 months for all of these properties to be absorbed and sold. So with that, there's obviously a lot of opportunity. If you are a buyer that's interested in purchasing a new construction home or new construction condos, a lot of builders are giving a lot of concessions and incentives, and you can negotiate a little bit further. I mean, we're doing deals right now for some buyer clients on the both condos and the low-rise freehold side, where we're getting a lot of concessions, a lot of free upgrade, parking, and all kinds of price reductions. So great opportunity if you're a buyer to negotiate and ask for concessions from the builder, particularly if you are an end user, because that's who it makes most sense for right now to purchase anyway. Not to mention, new home sales have now corrected, or you could say dropped 20% in price from the peak of 2022 to now. So, although, in my opinion, it's still not what I would consider affordable, because for a average condo right now, you're still looking at upwards of $1,000 to $1,100 per price per square foot in most of the GTA, and new homes are starting at least 1.2, $1.3 million. And they're not really building any new homes in the city of Toronto, so you really have to go way outside in areas like Durham region, Milton, Halton region, and those areas to even buy, new construction homes. But if you are looking in those areas, great opportunity and great time for you to buy, especially now that prices have come down and you can ask for a lot more concessions. Now, what this means for the future, again, as I mentioned in a lot of my videos when it comes to pre-construction and new construction, is that a lack of sales today is going to impact the supply in the future. And with supply shortages in the future, particularly in the years of 2028 and beyond, even 2027 and beyond, we're likely going to see a very tight supply. And that's going to, again, increase the demand, and that's going to put upward pressure on pricing. I am curious to hear your thoughts. How do you think this gigantic lack of sales in the new construction side is going to impact the real estate market in general? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Once again, thank you for watching this video. And if you're new, please don't forget to subscribe. I talk about all things real estate on this channel. Until next time, take care.